chicks. Dolly fondly recalled the days when the owl chicks were born. Dr. Owl seems strange lately, worried the snail boy. He's excited about the 3 eggs. Just a few more days and the owl chicks will hatch, explained Dolly. Wow, really? Exclaimed Berry in amazement. And can we see the little ones too? Mama Owl will let us know when we can visit. Mama Owl soon sent word that the chicks were strong enough. Berry and Dolly could visit them. They're so cute, Dolly whispered sentimentally, and Berry nodded in agreement. It would be good if you stayed here today, as I need to go to my patients. We could use some help at home, stated Dr. Owl. We're happy to help. Yes, gladly. Berry and Dolly jumped with joy. The owl chicks were very lively, curious and playful. Berry and Dolly played with them persistently. They played ball, built with blocks, blew bubbles, and played tag. At noon, Mama Owl said that lunch was ready. The ladybirds seated the chicks, but they kept wandering away from their place. Berry helped, but the 3 chicks behaved like 3 balls that constantly rolled away. Finally, Mama Owl firmly seated them on the chair and spooned the puree into their beaks one by one. Of course, the little ones didn't eat at the same pace. One was picky, another kept demanding more, and the third ate annoyingly slowly, sometimes falling asleep during lunch. Let's move them to the crib, sighed Mama Owl when they had finished lunch. She took out a storybook and tried to lull them to sleep. But the owl chicks didn't want to fall asleep at the same time at all. In the end, the story didn't put the owl chicks, but Mama Owl to sleep. Berry and Dolly covered Mama Owl and moved the crib to the other corner of the nest so she could sleep peacefully. They gently rocked the little ones, who soon fell asleep miraculously. Barely an hour passed. The owlet's eyes popped open and they tumbled out of the crib. They happily started hopping on Mama Owl's belly. Mama Owl suddenly spread her wings and caught the little ones. "Got you now!" she exclaimed, and lovingly hugged the wriggling chicks to her chest. Just then, Dr. Owl arrived home. Laughing, he gathered the 3 bouncing little ones. "Were they good?" he asked the ladybird. "Yes, they were good. They were so sweet," Dolly replied. "Well, I'm a little tired," added Berry. "Well, me too, a bit," admitted Dolly. By then, the 3 chicks were standing on Mama Owl's head. "Soon I'll teach them to fly. Then it will be easier with them," said Mama Owl. "At least I hope so." Solar System. As summer approached its end, the lightning beetle paid a visit to the fireflies. He surprised them with a new book that was all about planets, stars, and celestial phenomena. "This here is Earth, our home," the lightning beetle pointed out. Beyond Earth, there are other planets. Mercury is closest to the Sun, followed by Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. They all orbit the Sun. The Moon orbits the Earth.
Are the planets far away?
Asked the youngest firefly. Very far, said the lightning beetle. But the little firefly didn't pay attention to the answer. He decided that while the others slept, he would fly very, very high and see the planets for himself. When everyone was asleep, he set off on his journey to conquer the sky. He flew higher and higher, and the air around him became colder. The firefly grew tired. He summoned all his courage, but suddenly his strength ran out and he plummeted down. The wind caught his light body and gently placed him in the grass. The others panicked when they found him in the morning.
What happened?
One of them asked, cradling the smallest firefly.
I wanted to fly to the planets,
whispered the little one weakly. His forehead is hot, the lightning beetle observed. We must take him to Dr. Owl right away. He has a fever. He might have got a pneumonia from the freezing heights. He needs to stay here with me so I can take care of him. You can visit him every day. The fireflies sadly headed back home.
What a reckless idea to fly to the planets! You need a spacecraft or a rocket for that, one of them grumbled.
If our little friend can't go to the planets, then let's bring the planets to him, unexpectedly suggested the lightning beetle. When he recovers, let's surprise him by creating the planets and hanging them in his room.
That's a great idea!
The fireflies cheered with joy. They got to work. Berry, Dolly, Balthazar, Stanley, Flutter and Eddie all pitched in. They got some smaller and larger balls and painted them with vibrant colours, just as they had seen in the book. The lightning beetle prepared the sun. Then they hung the planets on a big hoop, which they secured to the ceiling. Eddie crafted a clever device that rotated the hoop.
Wow! The planets are orbiting the sun!
Marvelled the firefly children. After that, small burning lights were installed around the planets as if countless stars were flickering in the sky. By the time they were finished, the little firefly had recovered. Harry Hedgehog brought the smallest firefly home on his hedgehog cart.
I promise I won't do anything so silly again. You don't need to. From now on, you can enjoy the planets from your bed,
the others said with laughter.
Wow, this is so beautiful.
Everyone laid on the ground together, gazing up at the planets spinning on the ceiling. October. Bubble tidies up. It was a sunny day in October, and Stanley the stag beetle and Bubble the flower beetle were collecting horse chestnuts in the forest. Most of the chestnuts had already rolled out of their cases, but there were still a few enclosed in their spiky coats.
Look at this! Isn't it beautiful?
Bubble enthused.
Just like a baby in a cradle.
We'll make little figures out of the chestnuts at home, okay? Stanley asked.
Okay,
Bubble bounced. They soon arrived back at the stag beetle's house. They started working right away. Within no time, the table was covered in little chestnut characters.
I'm going to take the ones I made home with me,
Bubble decided. They soon arrived at the little yellow house with the tulip-shaped windows. Stanley shouted as soon as they walked inside, "Oh, what a mess, Bubble! And where are we going to put our chestnut figures in all this mix-up?"
"Hang on, I'll make a space for them on a shelf,"
said Bubble.
"There you go, they can go here,"
he announced with pride. "This is no good, Bubble. Tidy up." "I'm happy to help," Stanley offered.
"I don't like tidying up."
While Bubble was complaining, he accidentally kicked a spotty ball. The rocket pushed the toy cars. The cars toppled the robot, and that pushed over a pile of books. And a pretty gingerbread house dropped from the top of the pile that Rosita Rose Beetle had given him for Christmas.
"No, Rosita baked this for me,"
he showed Stanley. "But it's ruined now, Bubble," the stag beetle said with a shake of his head.
"I'll ask Rosita to bake another one."
"Okay, but after that we'll tidy up, okay?"
"Okay,"
Bubble agreed. Rosita was very happy to see them and invited them inside.
"Rosita, the gingerbread house you made me got smashed,"
Bubble admitted.
"Oh no, I worked so much on that present." "I know, and I'm sorry. It was an accident in the mess. But I've promised Stanley I'm going to tidy up my room. Please bake a new one for me." "Of course I'll bake you another one.
But promise to look after it this time," said Rosita, calmer now.
"I will,"
Bubble promised. When he got home, Bubble took a look around and wondered where to start tidying. "Starting is always the hardest part," the stag beetle reassured him. So Bubble set to work and soon he started to enjoy it. He was just adding the finishing touches when Rosita appeared. "Your new gingerbread house is ready," she proudly announced and handed her creation to Bubble.
"Thank you,"
Bubble said with a smile.
"I'll give you one of my chestnut figures in return."
"Great, thank you. I'd like the snowman, please."
Bubble has hiccups. One fine day in autumn, Berry, Dolly, Balthazar, Flutter, Stanley and Bubble set off on a walk to the waterfall. Bubble suddenly started to hiccup. Balthazar offered him his water bottle.
"Have a drink of water, that'll stop it."
Bubble took a couple of gulps, but his hiccups still didn't stop. "Have a bite to eat," Dolly told him. "That'll stop it." Bubble bit into his bread roll, but his hiccups still didn't stop. "Hold your breath for a while, that'll stop it," Flutter advised. Bubble held his breath for a long while, but his hiccups still didn't stop. In the end, Stanley came up with a plan to make Bubble jump. He hurried off and hid behind a big tree. Just as Bubble was walking past, he jumped out with a shout from behind the tree and gave the flower beetle a fright. In fact, he was so shocked he fell over. And his hiccups stopped. But now Bubble was cross with Stanley.
"That was a very mean thing to do. I don't jump out at you from behind trees."
"I only wanted to help. I stopped your hiccups."
"I still don't like it when people make me jump,"
Bubble grumbled. "All right, I won't help you next time," the stag beetle shouted back. They all carried on their way and soon arrived at the waterfall.
It looks so lovely,
Bubble shouted, and he ran so fast towards the waterfall that he slipped right in. Stanley caught him by the arms at the very last minute and pulled him out of the water.
Thank you.
Bubble snivelled.
I'm sorry I got so cross.
We need to get home as quickly as we can because Bubble is soaked to the skin. He could catch a chill, Dolly said with concern. They then all heard thunderous footsteps from behind the trees and an enormous lizard appeared right before them.
Don't be afraid of me,
he said.
Which way are you going? I'll happily give you a ride on my back.
The forest friends were delighted by the idea and happily hopped onto the lizard's back. And as they made their way back home, Bubble slowly started to hiccup again. I'm definitely not going to make you jump again. Hiccups can stop just as easily on their own. That's exactly what happened. By the time the lizard arrived back at Bubble's house, his hiccups had completely stopped. The little beetle said goodbye to all his pals. After Bubble, the lizard took Stanley and Balthazar to their houses. The stag beetle and the bumblebee thanked him for the ride and waved him happily on his way. Soon after that, they arrived at Dolly's house, where the ladybird girl said goodbye to her friends and hopped off the lizard's back, shortly followed by Berry. Flutter was now the final passenger, and it was getting dark by the time the lizard delivered her back home.
Thanks so much for all your help, lizard,
Flutter said, before stepping into her house, where she went straight to bed. 4 seasons. One day at the end of the winter, 3 bark beetles knocked angrily on Leapy's door.
We wanted to dress up as princes for the party, but the 3 fleas are going to be princes. And that's not good. Our crowns and capes are all ready, but we can't wear them. Oh, please help us. Have you got any ideas what we could wear?
They all shouted at once.
Maybe you could be 3 snowballs because everything is covered in snow outside. It would be easy to make the costumes.
Oh, no. That's no good, Leapy. We'd melt the minute we walked into Balthazar's house. We'd turn into a puddle on the floor in no time at all.
Then you could go as cutlery, a knife, a fork and a spoon. You'd only need silver foil.
That's a super idea, Leapy. But we haven't got any silver foil. And we haven't got enough time before tomorrow to get some. We need to think up something simpler.
What do you say to a camel? That's perfect for the 3 of you. A head and 2 humps.
Yes, but the ants went as a camel last year, so it's been done. We need to think of something new. And what are you going as, Leapy?
The bark beetles asked.
I don't know. I still haven't decided.
The grasshopper girl hesitated.
Then the 4 of us could go together,
the boys suggested.
OK, but what could we go as? 4 flowers? Or 4 devils?
Maybe 4 stars or 4 planets,
the bark beetles listed.
That's not good enough. We need to go with something that there are only 4 of. Only 4, no more, no less. I know the perfect thing. The 4 seasons.
Yes, that's perfect, the bark beetle said and jumped up and down. There are 4 seasons. Leapy can be spring because that's girly. And we can dress up as summer, autumn and winter. They all got hard to work. Leapy sewed herself a pink dress and decorated it with white flowers. She put a pink flower crown on her head. She looked so pretty that the bark beetles all blushed when they saw her. The 3 boys' costumes were soon finished. Summer wore green with a sun on his tummy and a leaf on his hat. Autumn wore all yellow, covered in colourful leaves. Winter's costume was blue, with lots and lots of snowflakes. The next day, they all set off to Balthazar's house for the fancy dress party. The bumblebee was dressed as a fireman. He warmly welcomed Leapy and the bark beetles. The 4 seasons have arrived. Eddie was dressed as a carrot, Bubble as a rocket, Betty as a drop of water, Rosita as a bird, Zephyr as a bus ticket, Morris as a sugar cube, Flutter as a banana, Dolly as a sweetie, and Charlie as a dog. The Forest Friends voted for the best costume. And of course, the 4 seasons won. Stanley came second with his rainbow costume. Third place went to the snails, to Berry and Sam, who came dressed as a train. Everybody was very happy, and the 3 fleas came to congratulate the winners.